welcome to the demo days. And in today's live demo, we'll learn how to build resilient data pipelines that just work, right? So take it as a masterclass. We'll build multiple pipelines in this demo days, and we'll make sure that we try to incorporate it with a use case, which makes you, understand and comprehend how data pipelines work and how they would work for your particular company. With us, we have Skand. Skand has been with Hevo for a long time. He has been part of the sales engineering team, and he's one of the expert on Hevo, how to build these pipelines, and also how to make the best use of these pipelines. Thank you so much, Skand, for joining in and giving us your time today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hi, everyone.
Okay. Moving on to the agenda bit, we'll go in a bit of brief here. So first, we'll talk about what are the hidden risks of in-house data pipelines and why you should have like a cloud data pipeline, or why you should have a third-party pipeline where you can build resilient pipelines. What are the what does it mean to have like resilient data pipelines? Then we go to the live demo where we'll show you how to build those, and also like a case study that we have heard live from the customers, how they built their pipelines and made sure that they were able to make use of Hevo at the maximum. So I think my first question for you, Skan, would be, what do you think are the hidden risks of an in-house data pipeline?
Yeah, so mostly I've heard of the scenarios whenever a customer is building in-house data pipelines, they are facing a lot of issues related to, first of all, code management. So to connect any source, they would have to write the code from scratch, just build for that particular source. They would have to then build all the schema and then handle all the schema drifts. So in case, let's say, while the connector is initially built, there are any future changes to the schema, they would need to handle the schema changes in the code so that the pipeline doesn't break. Then they would need to handle the authentication of different mechanisms, because each connector or source has a different authentication out there depending on what kind of service it is providing. Then there are issues with data quality. So you need to keep a consistent check on the data types that are being mapped to the destination while the data is being replicated. If there is any incorrect data that passes through it, it would fail the complete pipeline. Then overall, you will have the constraints about the resources and the ops that you would need to manage those pipelines, right? You will need complete backend architecture. You need your own servers to maintain those pipelines. And as you scale up, you would need to make enhancements to those, which would then incur additional costs and maybe even more bandwidth of your team to handle all those resources.
Got it. As the world is moving forward more towards AI, modernization, and whatnot, I think it's even more important that the teams are not focusing on these operational failures, right? It's even more important that people actually focus on insights, people focus on building models and whatnot. Moving on to the next bit, what do you think are the principles of a resilient data pipeline?
Yeah. So as you just mentioned, instead of maintaining all these pipelines manually, going through the code, writing the connectors, handling those schema drifts, you should actually focus on the end goal, being it analytics of the data of your customer base, and then taking business decisions based on that analytics. Maybe it could be a campaign, it could be your product that you are marketing, right? So you need to actually spend the bandwidth on that part instead of handling those pipelines. Then again, the pipelines need to be scalable. So as your business will grow, you do not want to invest resources on maintaining those pipelines to scale up or down based on what you want to achieve. It should be auto scalable. Then you should have cost clarity in terms of the pipeline. So when you have the in-house pipelines, you have multiple resources clustered here and there. You'll need team to manage all the finance of those backend architecture and different resources that you are giving to those pipelines. Instead, you would want a single cost insights on whatever you are doing in terms of pipelines. Then you would also want some control over those and monitoring. So you would need to set up those monitoring alerts that should be ideally built into the pipelines in case anything goes wrong, or any alerts that you should be notified about, it should be built into the pipeline. So those are some of the basic features of a resilient pipeline.
Makes sense. And that's what we've been hearing from our customers for the longest time, right? They need to prioritize on the right things. Moving on, we'll probably give a glance about what Hevo does and how does the architecture looks like. So Skand, you can take it forward. What are the key features and how do we make sure that we become that resilient pipeline for our customers?
Yeah. So Hevo is a no-code ETL or ELT platform. It's completely cloud-based. You can simply sign up and start creating the pipelines. Then we offer 150 plus connectors, which range across databases to different SaaS applications and to even some file-based storage sources where you can put your files in case you are working with those and extract the data right out of them and put it into some central place for analytical purpose. Then it could be possible that you have data coming in from multiple sources and you want to perform some data cleaning or some transformations, maybe either during the data replication or after the data has landed into your data warehouse or a central location that you want running the analytics on. So we offer both pre and post load transformation capabilities as well. Then you have built-in monitoring on the pipelines. You can set up different alerts which you will be notified about in case there are any logs related to the pipeline which you should be notified about. And then the major part is the schema drift. So any future changes to the schema that would happen to the source, or maybe new tables, these are completely automatically handled within Hevo.
Awesome. Moving on to the architecture point of view, how do we make sure that all of these things that we've promised in the slide before are actually fulfilled by a very heavily thought through architecture?
Yeah. So under the hood, we are built on AWS. We have Kafka as the streaming engine. We connect to the sources. We ingest the data. It passes through Kafka, where all the processing happens in terms of preload transformations. Then there is the loading services. Before that, it passes to the schema management service, where all the mapping automatically is handled. No user intervention is required there. And then if we finally load the data into the destinations, on top of that, you have error handling, alertings, and then logs related to all the pipelines that you have. And then there are other features around role-based access control. So you can give your team members the kind of access that they would need on individual pipeline, right?
Awesome, awesome. So we have sources, we have our data plane that does all the heavy lifting, and then we, push it to our destination. That's pretty cool. Now, let's like jump on to the main part. Why I think all of the folks have signed up, like the masterclass, right? So it's time for the demo bit, how to build these pipelines. My screen share, and you can go ahead.
Sure. Just give me a second. Share my screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the landing page of Evo, where you can see I have already created different pipelines from different sources. Right now, I'll be showing you the process of pipeline creation from a bit of different sources. Maybe it could be a database or a SaaS application. So I'll be going through a Postgres DB and then a Facebook ad source, then Google Analytics source, and I'll show you how easy it is to set up a pipeline in Hevo. So if I click on create pipeline here, you'll get a list of sources where you can search for the source that you are trying to connect. Now, let me just show Postgres DB first. So I'll search for RDS Postgres. And once I click on it, it will be a simple 4-step process to configure the pipeline. So first is the source configuration, where I can give my pipeline a unique name. And then it will ask for the database credentials. It would be similar for most of the databases. Let me just quickly copy the Postgres credentials that I have for now. Then we have different modes of ingestion for databases. Logical replication is the one that is generally recommended from our end, because that is dependent on the database's capability of capturing all the transaction logs as they happen on the database. And then you have the option to go near real time with the logical replication method as well. Then we have something called table mode, in which we'll be running select queries based on a timestamp or a unique incrementing column that you would be provided during the configuration. Then you have custom SQL, where you can write your own SQL queries to ingest the data out of the source tables. Let me just provide the database name here. Then in terms of connectivity, we do have different options. So in case your database is not publicly available, you can connect via an SSH tunnel. We also offer SSL if you want an additional layer of security over that. And then in terms of other connectivity options, we also offer VPC peering for AWS-based sources, then site-to-site VPN. So you have a lot of options to sort of connect to the source systems. Then there are some advanced options depending on the source type. So first is historical data. So how we categorize data in Hevo is in two parts. First is the historical load, which is all the data that is present in the source at the point of creating the pipeline. And then there is incremental load. So any inserts, updates, deletes that happen on the data after the pipeline is created are considered as incremental events. And the good part is historical load is completely free of cost on Hevo. Then you have the option to include new tables in the pipeline. So let's say your database will grow, you'll have different tables or getting created on the DB over a period of time, and you do not want to manually intervene. You just want to automatically include them in the pipeline as they gets created. So you can enable this option. And then you have the option of merge tables specifically for this source, which allows you to merge the data from different tables in a different schema. So let's say you have a table customers, but you have X number of customers and you have created one schema for each customer. So what this option will do is, while replicating the data, you will get a single table in the destination, and that will have all the customer entries from the different schemas. So right now I'll just click test and continue here. Now, the second step would be to select the tables that you want to ingest from the database. So right now I can just select all the tables, or I can select individual tables that I want to replicate and then hit continue. Now, in case you have a primary key on the table, we will automatically detect that for the historical load. In case you does not have that, you have the option of either running full load, or you can provide a configuration based on which you would be doing the historical load. And then the incremental will be on the bin logs or logical replication in this case. So the next step is to configure a destination. If I just go on add destination, we have a lot of warehouses and databases that are commonly used for analytical purposes as the destinations. So I can go ahead and click on Snowflake here, and it will prompt me with a similar configuration page where I would need to put in my Snowflake credentials to be able to connect to my Snowflake warehouse. Right now, I have already created a Snowflake destination, so I can use that existing one. So I'll just search for that and then hit continue. Now, this is the final configuration page where there are some more configurations about the pipeline. So first is if I want to add a prefix to the table names, this is mostly useful when I'm loading the data from different pipelines into the same destination schema. And I want an identifier to be added for the tables, so I can give that. Otherwise, I can leave it blank as well. Next is a very important feature of auto mapping. So as we discussed before, this enabling this will automatically handle all the schema mapping between the source tables and the destination tables. All the destination tables will be created based on the source schema that we detect. And then any future changes that would be happening to the source schema, we would automatically try to accommodate the destination schema according to that. Then you have the ingestion schedule. So this defines how frequently do you want to ingest the data from source. Now, by default, it is 30 minutes. And then you can also define a custom frequency in terms of hours, or if you want to run the pipeline at specific times, you have the option to do that. Now, in case of logical replication, you have the option of streaming as well, where we will ingest the data in near real time from these sources, from the log files that they generate. and you will be getting the data in the destination near real time with a latency of at max 5 minutes. Right now, I'll just leave it default to 30 minutes and hit continue. We can see the pipeline is already created now. It will just take a few seconds before it connects to the source. Okay, it's already connected now, we can see. And then it will just start ingesting the data. Now, I'll also show you the pipeline creation from a different source. So this is an example of database to Snowflake pipeline. Now, let me show you how to create a similar pipeline from my Facebook ad source. So I'll just go on create pipeline, search for my source here. Yeah. So here I have already added my account. Otherwise, you can add your account and it will redirect you to the Facebook login page where you can enter your credentials and the account will be added here. Now, once I hit continue, I'll get the source configuration page where I can again give a pipeline a unique name, select the account that I want to ingest the data from. Then in terms of Facebook ads or some other ad-based connectors, we have the option of predefined reports as well as custom reports. So predefined reports are already configured from our end, ingesting the most important and crucial data. For example, ad-based data like spends, impressions, clicks, right? And then I can have the configuration of different options that are related to that source. For example, in this case, add action report time. So in case I want add action report time to be conversion or based on impression, or I want to be a mix of both, I can select that. Then historical load duration. So how backfill how much backfill I want to do to the data. So let's say I want the data from last 6 months or only for the last 3 months that have been happening on the source. I can select that. And then there are some other advanced options based on the Facebook ad source. Now, in terms of predefined reports, you can hit continue. Otherwise, if I want to build my own reports with my own configuration, I can select the custom report. And then I can basically select all the fields that I want to ingest from the reports. And then the breakdowns, if I want to choose that, the aggregation level that I want to have. So it could be an ad-based aggregation or a campaign level-based aggregation. Then do you have different options of aggregation windows? So do I want the data to be aggregated on a daily purpose or on a monthly purpose? So I can select those configurations as well. And then I can hit continue here. Now, in this case, since we are in just, okay, oh, sorry, I think I selected no field. So let me just go back to predefine here and then hit continue. Now, in this case, it will directly jump to the third step because there are no specific tables to be ingested at. We already configured the reports in the initial configuration. Again, I can select an existing destination or create a new one. So let me just go ahead and click on this. And then we have the similar final configuration where I can give the destination table a prefix and then the ingestion schedules. In this case, the auto mapping is not there because I choose the predefined reports and the schema will automatically be based on the fields that I have configured previously. Again, I can choose an ingestion frequency of 30 minutes, or maybe if I want to go higher, let's say maybe running only 12 hours or 24 hours, I can choose that. Now, once I hit continue, yeah, so that's it. Now, my Facebook ads to Snowflake pipeline is again created and it will keep flowing the data from Facebook ads to the Snowflake warehouse where I can finally do my analytical queries and get the information out of my Facebook ads and then take business decisions out of it. Now, I have already created some similar pipelines from Google Analytics 4, which I'll just show you here. In this case, it would be similar. Let me just quickly go back and actually show you how the configuration would look like. So again, if I just search for Google Analytics in the sources, I can click on that. Again, simply I can choose my account here. The configuration would be a little bit different based on the configuration of Google Analytics and how that works. So I can select a GA4 account and then I can select the property that I want to get the insights on. Let me just quickly select that. Now, again, we have a similar option of historical sync, how much backfill I want to perform on this data. Then I can give my report a name and then I can select the dimensions and metrics that I want to configure in this Google Analytics report. And then in case I want to generate a pivot report on top of the configuration that I have chosen here, I can do that. In this case, I have some advanced options to actually apply some filters and on both the dimensions and metrics. So I can add those. It will provide me with different logical operators. I can even choose regex expressions or different filtering options that you have here. Now, let's say if I want to add multiple reports, I can just click on another report and I can configure the second report in the same pipeline or X number of reports that I want to do in a single go. Now, since I already created a pipeline, let me just show you how that looks like. Let me just load the pipeline page. Mhm. Yeah. So once the pipeline is created, it will look similar in terms of how the overview page looks. I have a test report that I configured. You can see I already passed some data and loaded into the destination here. And then for the rest of the features, let me just show you an existing pipeline. So let me just go back to any of these. Let's say the Postgres pipeline that I recently created, right? So again, I had different tables, I ingested the data. Then how the replication process actually looks like is first the data is ingested from the source. Then you have the preload transformation capabilities where you can apply the transformations in flight on a row level. So these provide you some lightweight transformation capabilities if you want to perform some data cleaning, maybe adding some new fields, removing some records, filtering out the data, right? And then again, you have two ways of doing that. First is a simple drag and drop interface that we have. So we have a list of predefined transformations that you can simply drag on the UI and then configure them. For example, let's say I want to add a field here. I can just give that field a name and a value that I would like. I can also add some if else logic to that. I can simply drag and connect it to this. And then once I'm done building the transformation, I can go ahead and actually test it on some sample data. So this will give me the result output once I test it. And then I can actually go ahead and deploy it on the live data. Now, another way of doing this preload transformation is a Python interface. So in case you want to do some more complex handling of the data, let's say you have some nested if-else conditions or maybe some JSON data that you want to handle, you can write some Python code here. And then again, you can simply test the transformation on some sample events, and then you can actually go ahead and deploy the data once you are done with the results. After the preload transformations is done, the data passes through the schema mapper page. So as we enabled schema auto mapping in this particular pipeline, we can see all the tables have been mapped automatically based on the source schema that we detected. Now, if I click on any of these, I can actually go ahead and look on all the columns that it ingested from the source and the corresponding columns that it got mapped to in the destination table. I also have complete control over the customization. So let's say if I want to customize my mapping, I can simply turn the auto mapping off on a complete pipeline level or on a particular table level as well. And then I can go ahead and edit the mapping and maybe change the column names or table names, maybe even the data types that I want to handle. Let's say I want to load it into a predefined table that I already have present in my destination, I can choose to do so. Now, once the schema passes through the once the data passes through the schema mapper, it finally lands into the data warehouse, which is in this particular pipeline is a Snowflake. Now, let me just quickly open that. Now you have a view of all the tables that are currently present in my warehouse and how much data is loading into them over a particular window of time. So let's say I want to choose last 24 hours. These many records got loaded. This was the latency between ingestion and load. Then you have the option to actually query the data from within the platform. So in Workbench, you will see all the tables that I currently have in this Snowflake warehouse that I've configured. And I can write a select query and run it to get the output in Hevo itself. Then you have activity logs for the destination as well as the pipelines, which keeps track of any changes that are being made to the pipeline by any user in the account. Now, once the data actually lands into the destination, you have post-load transformation capabilities. So we call that as models. Again, there are two ways of doing those post-load transformations. First is a simple SQL-based model. So I have already created a few models, which I'll show you. So let's say this particular model does employee tenure analysis on top of the data that I have in my employees table. So it will show me from where, since when employee has been in the company. I can write those SQL queries, maybe run the aggregations on my destination tables. I can even join the tables, writing those SQL queries. I can test the output, and then I can schedule this model to run automatically based on my requirement. So you again have the option to run it at a specific time frequency. You can also customize that. You can also customize that time interval, as well as you can select the time that you want to run this model at. Now, in terms of models, we also have an additional option of running the model when a relevant pipeline loads the data into a particular destination table. So let's say if I want to run this model when the data gets loaded into some specific table, I can choose to do so as well. Now, another way of doing those post-load transformations is a dbt core integration that we offer. So you can connect to your dbt core models via GitHub repositories, and then you can schedule those models to run on a project level or on an individual level as well. And then you can select see all the execution history, if there were any issues during the model runs, if they were all successful. And then again, you have activity logs for models, which keeps track of any changes that are being done to the models. Now, in terms of alerts and monitoring, we also have different categories of alerts. So it could be a alert related to pipeline, it could be a related alert related to destination or a model. And then you have different mediums to actually receive those alerts. So first is the dashboard itself. So when you log in, you will see the alerts in the alert section. Then in case you want to get notified over an email, you can choose to do so here, and then you can select the category that you actually want to receive the alert about. And then in case you are using Slack for as a company, you can also configure Slack integrations directly from within the tool, so you can receive the alerts in a timely manner directly over Slack. And in case you are facing any issues while working with the product, you have any questions, we do have a dedicated support team available 24/7 across the time zones. So you can directly reach out to us and ask your queries in case you need help with something, and some person will be available to assist you with the same. So yeah, that's all from my end regarding the setup of the pipelines and a basic overview of all the features. Yeah, back to you, Radhika.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Skand, for giving us a quick walkthrough. And I think the more important fact is number one, you set up like all these pipeline in quick, I think 15 minutes, 15 odd
Yeah.
minutes, three pipelines. And you were also, so the end impact of these will be when once you combine all your data, the insight quality will become much, much higher for you. Going back to our deck, we have a little bit more left for you all, and then towards the end, we are open to take questions, and you can definitely pop in your questions in the Q&A tab. We can take it at the end as well. So while we have talked about how to set up these pipelines, it's even more important to talk about what to do after setting up these pipelines, right? So here we'll talk about a company. It's a leading SaaS-based company, was achieved unmatched reliability and cost savings with Hevo. And that's not something that we are saying, that's something that they have told us in calls, and they have given like a case study with us as well. So let's try to understand what problem statement they had and how what kind of impact they were able to create by modernizing their architecture. So they had a very phase wise problem, I would say, right? So their phase one was a very legacy infrastructure. They were building on prem with Informatica and Alteryx, which worked fine until 2019, until they realized that the world is moving in a different direction, and they had a lot of technical debt and a very limited scalability, as we talked about in our initial few slides, that it takes a lot of cost to actually make sure your on-prem is scalable enough. So once this conversation started happening, they started moving into the direction of a virtualized ETL, which was there was a tech stack shift that happened. So they went on to Snowflake, DBT, Matillion, ETL on VPC, right? That's how they kind of moved away from their on-prem to like a semi on-prem plus hybrid kind of infrastructure. But while they were doing all of this, they realized there's a lot of duplication of effort happening. There's a lot of duplication of transformations also happening. So this was their 2020 kind of area when they were, evaluating, when they were with Matillion. And then came phase three when they realized, oh, we're spending a lot of money on a lot of duplicate things. Let's try to shift fully on cloud. And this is, we're talking about a company called ThoughtSpot, and I'm pretty sure you all must know about ThoughtSpot as well. So ThoughtSpot decided to shift 100% to a cloud ETL platform, which means they shifted to Hevo Data, Snowflake, and dbt. And what benefit they got out of it? It was lower cost, reliable, and much more scalable infrastructure. So this is how their current stack looks like. A lot of sources going through Hevo, with Snowflake, dbt, and then they do their analyzation from their own tool, which is ThoughtSpot. What happened as an outcome? So once they started from 2020, they saw an 85% reduction in infrastructure cost, and that's a lot of cost that they ended up saving in just a matter of couple of years by making the decision of moving and modernizing their architecture, right? Then they also got 24/7 support with great SLAs. That's one thing I think ThoughtSpot really liked about the fact that our support team is available 24/7 in all regions. Then there was zero downtime or escalations from their side. So that is also something that they could set and forget. I remember the POC telling us that, we just click and the pipelines are set up, and then we forget that it's even there. And I haven't opened even Hevo for months. And they also increase, while decreasing their cost, they also increase their 35% of data usage, which is massive because now people are valuing the amount of data and the amount of analytics they can do with it, the amount of AI models they can build with it. So the more the data consumption, the more the insights they are getting, right? So they were able to reduce their cost as well as make sure that their data usage is also increasing. So moving on, this was something that they did in like a couple of years. We're seeing companies doing it much easier and quicker as well. So just the last steps and the next steps for you all would be, we are launching poll as well, where if you could tell us that how did you like the webinar, it'll be great. And as a next step, just a second. Yeah. As a next step, you can book your free trial with Hevo. You can book a personalized demo as well, where we can obviously get Skand to give you a demo again for your own particular use case. And recording and resources for attendees will follow. So thank you so much, Skand, for joining us, giving us the demo. If you all have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat. We'll be happy to take them. We'll wait a couple of minutes to make sure if somebody has questions and they would want to learn more about either modernization, Hevo, pricing, whatever. We are here to solve those. I don't see any questions right now. We'll just give a couple more seconds and then we can conclude. So there's a hand raise. So guys, it's a listen only mode. Can you please put your questions in the chat? There's a Q&A section. I see like a couple of people raising their hands, but it'll be great if you can put your questions in the chat and we'll be able to answer those. It's just a listen only mode for all of you. Okay. We have two questions. Is it similar to Airbyte? We are exploring connectors as a service. Skand, would you like to answer this?
Yeah. So Airbyte is definitely another ETL tool. We are completely cloud-based. We offer the similar services. So we offer all the connectors in case you specifically want to look for the connectors that we offer. We can definitely share the documentation as well regarding all the sources that we support.
Awesome. We would definitely love to chat about what sources you're using, what destination you're using, and we will get in touch with you after this webinar. Uh, we have one more question. Oh, thank you so much, Ashish. We'll get in touch with you. Yes, the webinar will be available for revisit. We'll share the YouTube link as well. So feel free to go through the link. We'll also try to get in touch with you if there's some use case that you would want to solve. I saw like a hand raised by Rich. I don't see the question yet. Rich, if you can put your question in the Q&A tab, that would be great. Oh, great. Yes, Ashish, we have noted down your email. I will just make sure that the team reaches you out as well. Awesome. Thank you so much. It was amazing, making sure that you all understand what ELT can benefit for your infrastructure. Thank you so much, Skan, for being there. And we'll do many more of these sessions. So see you all around.